All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages, Tools for Marriage, Part 2, Active Love. So we're going through the book, The Tools by Barry Michaels and Phil Stutz. Last week, we talked about the first tool. This week we're talking about the second, Active Love. Yeah, it's a great way when you're feeling yourself really, really resentful or angry or just seeing the negative in your wife or your kids or whoever, right? And this is a tool you can use to break out of that, access a higher power of what they call outflow, but it's really like God's love to get us out, right? Get us out of the resentment that keeps us trapped, really. My name is Mike Fraser, MD. I'm a psychiatrist and marriage coach. I help high-achieving Christian men have more intimate marriages. So, guys, this week, wins from guys in my Strong Men, Strong Marriages program this week. The guys are completing their physical workout goals. When we work on body, mind, heart, spirit, whichever one we're working on, and growing in, it helps us in all areas. So when we're growing in our physical strength, hitting those goals, helping our bodies feel healthy, taking care of our physical bodies, it helps our mental health, it helps our emotional health, it helps our spiritual health, all of that. Guys are having deep, meaningful conversations with their wives, feeling that mental, emotional intimacy, that connection again. Guys are also laughing, having fun with their wives again. A lot of guys tell me they're missing that fun. Guys are generating that fun again. Guys are having great spiritual connections. Maybe that's been missing. They're bringing that back, connecting to God, connecting with their wife, connecting with each other spiritually. Super cool to see. For me, really, I've been kind of honing it on this goal this week. It's been feeling more love and really seeing that love really does set you free. And really what the gospel is about, what Jesus is inviting us to, is a life of freedom. So here's what this tool is about. What this tool is about is when your wife does something that bugs you, that upsets you, okay? So let's say she criticizes you, right? Or like where this happens, where I can get into what they call the maze, just this like really negative thinking. She asks you to do something and then she gets mad at how you did it. So she asks you to wipe the counters and then she gets mad that you didn't do it quite how she wanted. Or she wants you to fold the towels, you didn't do it quite how she wanted. It's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you asking me to do that and then getting mad about that? Or she turns you down for physical touch or sex, right? Or she doesn't follow through on things that she said she would do for you, okay? These are ones that have upset me big time and have sent me into what the book calls the maze. So what the maze is when you focus on the negatives entirely about a person, okay? So the negatives of the situation turn into negatives about your wife, okay? So, for me, when I get into the maze, I start thinking, oh, she's so selfish, right? She's taking advantage of me, right? She's using me. I'm just a paycheck, right? She would trade me out for anybody else. She cares about the kids more than me. I'm just along for the ride. I'm just paying the bills, right? If I died, nobody would even care, right? She would rather have the insurance money. Like I can get like pretty dark into the maze sometimes. And what that creates is a very trapped experience. It certainly doesn't feel free. It feels like I am trapped in negativity. Now, in the book, it says it feels really like negative. To me, in some ways, it doesn't feel that negative. And I've been like going through my own therapy and kind of seeing like, a lot of that anger that I was having was from some other stuff, kind of not feeling particularly taken care of. And so like when I feel like I'm not being taken care of, I get really mad. But anyway, doing some healing around that's been really good. And this whole love experience has been actually really useful for that. So maybe that resonates with you, maybe not. Like looking back, can you identify some people that really did seem to care, that were really taking care of you? And if you can't, maybe some of your frustration, negativity is from that. Like, hey man, like my wife's supposed to be taking care of me and she's not, and feeling resentful and angry and mad about that from like a deep level. That's what's going on for me. But in this maze, right? Part of it was being driven by that a lot. Well, she's supposed to be taking care of me, right? That's where like she's selfish, she's using me. She's supposed to be taking care of me, she's not, right? And so that was like a younger part of me getting really upset about all that. But whatever it might be coming from, we all get into this, right? We can get into this very negative spiral only see the bad in the person. And it does not feel free. Okay. To me, it felt good in a way. It feels a little bit more powerful to be mad than to be like depressed, at least to me. But it's not good. It doesn't generate anything useful. It does feel trapped. Like one thing it says, the other person's like a jailer for your mind, right? They're just like in your mind. You can't get them out, and you can't move on, right? Life goes on without you. That's what the book talks about. You're stuck, right? And that definitely was happening to me when I get like this. I don't interact well with my other kids when I'm mad at one kid or I'm mad at my wife, right? I'm not interacting as well with other people because I'm just angry. So life passes me by, right? And I'm trapped in this, and the other person really has a lot of power over me, which that was one of the things that really made me not want to do it anymore. Is giving someone else power over me. And really what's happening, like they have power over my mind, right? That they're just, I'm so focused on all the bad things about them. They're keeping me trapped. Okay. So you're trapped by the past is what's going on. So in the book, again, The Tools by Barry Michaels and Phil Stutz, they talk about the tool to overcome this being what's called active love. And the force, the higher force being what they call outflow. Okay. So they talk about trying to align yourself. Like imagine there's a big tidal wave of love coming across the universe, right? And all around us. Our job is to try to like swim into it. If you've ever been surfing, the wave comes, you actually can't catch a wave unless you're trying to, right? You have to be like trying to get into it. You have to be paddling, right? To get into the wave. And then you are, and then the wave kind of carries you, right? So the tool of active love is kind of getting you aligned with that higher force, okay? So again, the higher force in the book, they call outflow. For us, like we call that agape, would be like the Greek term, that unconditional love that God has for his children. We, as Christians, right, we call that God's love, or we call it God's spirit that's like available and across all creation, or the Holy Spirit, right? It's there. It's all across nature, all around us, okay? So the tool that they say to use, right, is to imagine that force around you, right? Like a yellow liquid is what they say. And then imagine your heart kind of expanding and taking in that love and then concentrating it into your heart and then sending that love to the other person, and seeing it go into their, like the center of their chest, entering their body, and then you feel it go into them. Feel it go into them. And when it does, you feel a sort of sense of oneness with that person. So it's like you breathe in that love, then you breathe out into that other person. You see it go into them. You feel that oneness. And then you breathe back, and then that love is refilled. It's like, it's a force that keeps giving back. Like you feel better after you've given it. And that's true, right? When we really genuinely show caring for another person, we don't feel depleted after. We actually feel better after we do that. So that particular strategy didn't quite work for me. But the principle is for sure right. Like just finding some way to access God's love around you and sending it to that other person, for sure, right? So the things that work for me is like drawing from nature, kind of like picturing that love coming from nature and that power and that force coming into me from nature, like filling my body up. Then just like seeing pictures of my son is the one that I typically have some trouble with, that I've been using this tool with a lot this past week, of like have a picture of him on my phone and just see him with his face smiling and just like feeling that love and care for him, feeling equal, feeling at one with him, right? Seeing that he's my creation in a way, right? Like I created this kid, like he's partly me, and feeling love for him that way. Again, like looking at that picture has been a big one. Another thing that's been helpful for me, like spending time with loving people, thinking about who they are, sending them thank yous. I did that this week. That was really powerful. Reading loving books and podcast stuff that talks about God's love. Man, I like started crying at one point this weekend. I had a very kind of emotional week in a lot of ways, but this whole thing about love, right? And then the thing in therapy, realizing you don't really feel taken care of in a lot of ways. Felt like it's my job to take care of other people. Didn't ever really feel taken care of as a kid, kind of growing up, and so it was hard. That was hard. and just like allowed myself to be mad about that. But then I went to my grandpa's funeral, who was a great man, able to share some things there and have some cool experience with family, and felt very loved by my family there. Um, and my uncle actually got up and talked about how, there were some divisions and some upset in the family, and really talked about seeing everybody as God's child. And then, read a book about how, a woman in the Bible is just like seeing the God who sees. Um, it was Hagar, I think. Um, but yeah, man, I just like started crying with that, just like feeling like God saw me. In at the funeral, they shared a story about my grandpa who didn't have the money to buy like an iron bar to dig a fence, and then like walked out and was like praying to God for help, and then all of a sudden he found like an iron bar out in the desert, and just like knew God saw him, right? God saw him, and I just felt seen by God this week, and it was really cool experience. So all of that, right, just helped me feel love from God, and that let me be more loving towards my son, right, and towards everybody, really. It's been great. So the bottom line is like just living more in love, in that, if they call it outflow, whatever you want to call it, right? Just feeling that force of care and concern, and that someone cares about you and wants to take care of you and has your best interests at heart. If you can then connect with that and then transmit that to the other person, man, what does it do? It lets you move on instead of getting stuck, right? Instead of life passing you by, you're free. Okay, you're free to move forward with your life. And you have a choice. You can either go into the maze and get stuck and be mad and be trapped in the past, or you can go the other way, access active love, access God's love, send it to the other person, and you're free. You're free from them. They don't jail you anymore. You move on with your life. Okay. And by the way, you have a much better chance of generating a good relationship with that person. So, bottom line, when people upset you, you've got that choice. You can go into the maze, you can get super negative, you can get super dark, you can see everything bad about them, and they can basically control you, and the past can control you. Or you can choose active love. You can say, okay, let me feel God's love, and let me send it to this person, and let me move on with my life. It doesn't mean you just let whatever go. In fact, in the book, it talks about how, like, when you have love for that person and you see them as someone who's your equal and that you're in this life together, a lot of times you will confront them and you'll say things to them. Like, I talked to my son this week, like, hey man, like, what can we do to just enjoy each other's company more? That was something that came to me, and I was able to share with them. And actually things have been way better just even since kind of bringing that up with them. We've been able to connect a lot more. Things have warmed up. Why? Because I've warmed up, right? And either way, even if he wasn't right now, I'd be able to approach that in a good way. And I think it's because I've been trying to just access love all the time. So when do you use this tool? When people upset you, okay? You can just tell yourself, hey, I can choose the maze, or I can choose active love. I can start paddling. I can feel God's love, have that carry me, right? And like love, it really does mean freedom, okay? It means freedom from resentment. In the Sermon on the Mount, it starts out with blessing people. Blessed are the poor, blessed are the meek, right? And we've talked about this before on the podcast, but Dallas Willard interprets that as like, hey, anybody can be blessed by God. It's not like, hey, it's great to be poor, or it's great to be walked all over, right? It's like, no, God can even help you in that. He wants to help you. He's there for you. He's around. He's available, right? So when we feel that, when we feel connected with God, next, we're able to do stuff like love our enemies, bless them that curse you, pray for them who persecute you. Why? Because they can't affect you. They can't hurt you, right? So at the end of that scripture, it says, because like, if you can do that, then you're the children of God. Why? Because God himself is kind to ungrateful and evil men. So if you can also do that, you're the sons of God. Okay. So, but how do you do that? You do that by first really connecting to God's love, feeling that love, and that creates freedom. Love equals freedom. That's been kind of my big breakthrough this past week. So if you want to feel that freedom of really feeling love from God, love for yourself, love for your wife, love for your kids, no matter what they're up to, okay, still wanting good for them, still having goodwill towards them, still wanting what's best for them, even if they don't want what's best for you, or they're upsetting you or saying rude things or whatever. If you want to be free to still act in a way that is kind and caring and direct and strong, right? because it is kind and loving to be direct with somebody. It's not direct to not tell them things that are a problem. Okay. It's loving to tell people things that are a problem. So again, it's freedom. Love is freedom. Okay. So if you want to be free, if you want to feel God's love for you, impact other people around you with that love, come join us at Strong Men at Strong Marriages. Visit strongmen.io. Join the email list. We also have, and there's a program that opens at the end of every month, so it'll open again at the end of April here. It's a $200 a month group program. Come join, get some great coaching, get info. And if you're looking for something more intensive, this is for guys who are probably making around $250,000 or more a year. Fill out an application, and we'll talk about some intensive programs that we can do together. We can really help you rewire your brain and connect to God's love in this way. So, yeah, strongmen.io. We'll see you there. Stay strong in God, men. See you next episode.